hello to everybody. I hope you had a happy holidays, happy new year. As we all walk into this great new year 2024, there's a lot of things going on. We somewhat survived the pandemic. As we know, the month of January has been trying for everyone. And that's why one of the reasons why the month of January we're doing virtual events, because there's been an increase in COVID, increase in RSV. I guess it's called the respiratory RSV viruses. So we decided to have more things virtually to kind of kick off the year. So I want to make a few announcements to make sure that everybody on the call, make sure you plugged into our website at weup.org. And we usually announce all of our events. Every month we have 2 or 3 events during the month, and we make sure that we keep all of our current events updated on www.weup.org. On January 24th, we're having a federal contracting masterclass. We're going to be talking about federal contracting, and for all of our entrepreneurs that are interested in securing federal, state, local contracts, we're going to kind of give you some updates in terms of what's going on with that, because we know that if you get your certifications as a woman-owned small businesses, that is an excellent opportunity to increase revenue for your business enterprises. And I just think there's a lot of opportunities, and we want to make sure that we keep our community plugged in terms of what's going on, how to look at forecast reports, and all that other kind of great information. Also, at the end of the month, we are going to start continuing on with what we call our virtual networking meetings. We think it's so important as entrepreneurs, business owners, to be plugged into a community of women, like-minded women. So we're going to, on a regular basis, WeUp is going to have virtual networking meetings monthly. So make sure that if you have the time available, it's in the evening, you plug in, you turn your cameras on, and you're really ready to network with our community of women. Also, I want you all to save the date. We're having our annual Women's History Month event on March 28th and March 29th. We're doing that in partnership with this Center for Asian Pacific American Women. So we're like having a multicultural women's conference, African American women, Asian women, Latino women, and we're doing that at the AT&T facility in Buckhead. So just kind of wanted to keep you abreast in terms of all the exciting events that we have coming up for 2024. Stay connected, stay connected with us on social media to kind of see what we're doing. Okay, so make note of that. And I think because you're probably on this call, you're probably already subscribed, so we'll keep you updated. Also, we have a checklist that we are going to provide to you from this particular workshop. And what we'll do is we'll post that. We'll send you a notice of where that checklist will be posted. We'll probably post that on weupwomen.com. So we'll let you know. Now, the next, I'm going to introduce our wonderful speaker, Dr. Stacey Young Rivers. Dr. Stacey Young Rivers is she's the head of People, Growth, and Enterprise Skills Strategy at Warner Brothers Discovery. She has a PhD in Educational Leadership from Mercer University in Atlanta. Stacey is a mom, she's an author, and she's also an avid blogger. She has a blog called Level Up on Learning. It's a newsletter. Stacey is also an author, as I stated before, and her latest book collaboration was The Adventures of Women in Tech. That was a very interesting book. Thank you, Stacey. And she shares her career guidance for anyone interested in taking their career to the next level. And also, Stacey is one of our WeUp board members. So thank you, Stacey, for spearheading this call, bringing us all this great information. We really appreciate you. So I'm going to turn it over to Stacey so we can get started, because we have a lot of information, and this is going to be a really interesting interaction workshop. Thank you, Stacey.
Thank you, Antoinette. Hi, everybody. It's really, really great to be here. I'm talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is, as I'm learning about artificial intelligence, I want to make sure that I'm sharing that knowledge and expertise with this community. And so this conversation came about because Antoinette and Marinette and I have been talking about some of the challenges around AI, and then translating this into a talk where we're disseminating information that is useful and also relevant. And so this is a conversation. So I'm going to share, but also if you have a question at any time, you have a comment, I definitely want to make sure that we're addressing anything that you want to say or share. So please feel free to interject. So with that, I'm going to start by just kind of level setting this conversation with some key terms. And there's so much to AI as you can imagine. When OpenAI launched their chatbot ChatGPT back in November 2022, it really like changed the world, right? People were just enamored with this new tool, and now artificial intelligence is said to be one of the biggest disruptor of this century. Really, artificial intelligence began back in the 1950s, and so it was really something that was happening inside of a lab, something happening inside of research institutes and in companies like, for instance, Google and Tesla and other places where it was kind of contained to areas like that. And then when OpenAI launched the chatbot, it really kind of set the world on fire and how people can leverage this technology to be more productive and enhance other areas of life. And so with the key terms, I just want to make sure that we're all speaking the same language and we have an understanding as we go through this conversation. So with artificial intelligence, it's really a field of computer science. And at the end of the day, it's about using intelligent computers. That's really what it's about, how to make the computer more intelligent to do the work that we need it to do. And what powers that are algorithms, and algorithms are really just a set of instructions or code to give the computer instructions for what it needs to carry out. Now, a large language model is a form of AI that uses deep learning algorithms on massive amount of text in order to deliver information. And so that's essentially what ChatGPT is. And so if you haven't used ChatGPT, we're going to get into a little bit of that in this session, but I encourage anybody to explore with ChatGPT because it is a free tool right now. And we'll also talk about a subscription model, but ChatGPT is a large language model. And when you hear a lot about generative AI, that's one of the fields under the artificial intelligence umbrella. And what's so novel about generative AI is it takes these large data sets and it creates, quote unquote, something new. Some experts argue whether it is creating something new, because essentially what they did was they scraped the internet with all this data, and which includes copyrighted information, put it in this computer system, and now people are leveraging that data in different ways. And so some people argue, is it really new? But it is really interesting in what it outputs and how people are leveraging that information. One of the other areas that we're going to talk about a little bit is prompt engineering. And prompt engineering is really a skill in how to get AI to give you the information you need in a way that you need it. And so, prompt engineering is something that companies are now recruiting for. Um, Now, how long they're going to be recruiting for that and how AI is going to change, right? Because it's always changing is really, I think, a big question. But right now, prompt engineering is a really top skill that companies are looking for. When we talk about AI, one of the things that I think we don't talk about enough is the dangers of AI. And one of those dangers is the hallucinations that it has when it's outputting information. And so it's really important as you engage with AI that you understand that it can hallucinate and that you're checking to make sure the information is factual. I know a lot of people have been taking information from ChatGPT and just pushing it out online and their blogs and other places, but you have to really understand what it's giving you. Is it factual? And is it the right thing to push out? And then that leads us to responsible AI, which is essentially taking a responsible approach to what the AI, how the AI is being built, and then what it's also outputting and how you're using that information. And that's something that companies are starting to talk a lot about, especially since the United States and other countries are creating laws around AI and more transparency into AI. Companies are going to have to take a position where they're using responsible AI and creating governance models to make sure that they are responsible in how they're developing and using the artificial intelligence. So I'll pause there to make sure, does anybody have any questions or comments before we go on to the next topic?
Stacey, I do have a comment about hallucinations. And I'm glad you brought that up because it's so important because I read information and I'm thinking online right now, and it's clear that they're probably taking it from AI. So I think for entrepreneurs and business owners, that's so important to make sure that information is factual. Because I even put if you go to ChatGPT and put yourself in, I put my name in, and all kind of things came up saying I was part of the Hall of Fame and all this information. And I said, it sounds good, but that just didn't happen. So when you write hallucinations, I said, that's great. Also, the thing about prompt engineering is that that is another business opportunity because if you can master doing prompts, then you can get more constructive information out of AI. And I like that you kind of clarified those two particular areas.
Awesome, thank you.
Mhm.
And speaking of prompt engineering, that's really the next topic. So we're going to delve into this a little bit, and I think it's important for people. So one, ChatGPT is a really novel tool. It does save time. I use it in certain instances, and it has been a time saver. But what's frustrating is when you ask it a question and it doesn't quite give you the information you're looking for, right? And so this is where prompt engineering comes in. And so this is a cheat sheet essentially for areas that you should be mindful of when you're using ChatGPT and how to get it to give you the information you're looking for. So first, you want to be clear and concise in your prompts, right? One of the best ways to get it to give you concise information that you're looking for is to be very specific in that request. And you want to make sure that you give it background information so it can align the information that it's giving you with the information that you already have or you plan to use. So for example, I think I wrote a blog article around managing your manager, for instance. And so I wanted ChatGPT to give me some ideas around how employees could do that, but in a way that aligns with my voice and the way I write. And so what I did was I gave it one of my articles and I said, give me, write an article, chat GPT, about managing your manager, use my voice based on this article that I'm providing, and give me 5 tips for how employees in a large global organization could do that. And so within a couple of seconds, it spit out an article that was based on those parameters that I gave it. And it matched my voice pretty well. Obviously, I had to take it, massage it, make sure it met my standards for what I wanted to publish. But that saved me a lot of time from going out and researching, different ways that people can manage their manager. So that's one example. The other tip is using positive reinforcement. One of the ways that OpenAI makes that really easy is they'll have the little thumbs up or thumbs down when ChatGPT gives you a response. And so by clicking the thumbs up or the thumbs down, what you're telling the AI is that, yes, you met my expectations or no, you didn't. And so it keeps that information because then you're basically training it on the type of information and how that information needs to be served up to you. And so that's one example of positive reinforcement. Obviously, not using offensive or inappropriate language. And then finally, being specific about keywords and phrases, especially if you're, in specific industries and you're looking for whether it's medical industry or, TV or film production, you want to use specific keywords so that the information it provides you aligns with that industry or area of work that you're in. So I'll pause there and see if any other questions or comments. Okay.
I have a quick question for you. I wanted to know a little bit more about the I forget what it stood for, LLM. It was language
Large language
modeling,
model. Hmm.
large language model. That's it.
Hmm.
Um, so is that something that's like integrated into, for example, a chat GPT? I'm trying to figure out how that plays into AI a little bit more, especially given some of those parameters you mentioned about, like, for example, being specific or using inappropriate language. Is that what's determining what is that language?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. So ChatGPT is a large language model, right? So ChatGPT is just one example of a large language model. Google's Bard is a large language model, right? Um, and Claude, I think, is the Microsoft large language model. So a large language model is just essentially a different way of saying a chatbot. And ChatGPT is the name of the OpenAI chatbot. And so it really means the same thing. But obviously the, scientific term is a large language model. If that makes any sense. I'm happy to go deeper if you need me to.
That was definitely helpful. Thank you.
Awesome. So our next topic, we're going to delve into some tools for AI. And, it was really great to work with Antoinette and Marinette on this exercise, because we talk a lot about ChatGPT because they were the first ones to kind of push their chatbot out to the market. And now there's so many out there. But what ChatGPT, or the makers of ChatGPT, is now doing is they're creating something called GPTs, where if you think about Apple and the way Apple created this ecosystem where you can download apps to your mobile phone, and the apps do different things based on, whatever it is you need to do. Well, that's the same model that OpenAI is using for GPTs. So what they did was they are allowing developers to create these small GPTs that are very focused on different aspects of life or work or whatever it is that you need. And you're able to use these specific GPTs in a way just like you would use an app. So one thing to note is that the free version, which is the 3.5 version, you cannot get access to these GPTs. But if you're paying for the subscription version, which is currently, I think, $20 a month, and it's the 4.0 version, then you get access to these GPTs. And the way that they have decided this is because obviously they need to pay all of the developers that are creating these GPTs. And so it's a way to monetize and get access to the GPTs. So there's lots of them out there. If you go to ChatGPT, again, you could see, they give you an overview page so you could see all of the different GPTs that are available. So for instance, Canva has one. There's things that could help you with your kid with, math homework. There's things that's specific to writing. It just depends on what it is that you need, that you could download these specific GPTs for that focused area. But again, you would have to pay for the 4.0 version to get access to these. And I'm going to show you a little bit more about the differences. So the 3.5 version is free. Anybody can just sign up and get access to the 3.5 version. With the 3.5 version, you get text-based and you get up to 3,000 words per chat, which, 3,000 words is a lot. But at the same time, when you look at now the 4.0 model, depending on what it is that you want to do, not only do you get text, but you also get images. And I think that's where they really enhance the tool to be more fluid and more adaptable to people's needs, right? So with the free version, you get up to 3,000 words, but in the 4.0 version, you get up to 25,000 words per chat, which is really amazing. And then with the 4.0 version, they say it has more processing power. It has ability to solve scientific and mathematical problems. I've used it to help my son with homework because I am not a math whiz. Like, give me something to write, I will write something all day. But when it comes to the math, I'm like, okay, this is where I'm a bit challenged. So if I have to help him with homework, I need something to help me be able to explain it to him. Well, you could do that with ChatGPT. You could put the equation in there. It'll spit out the answer. It'll give you the process. It'll walk you through how it got to its solution. It's according to the website, it also says that the 4.0 version is more nuanced, meaning it's able to differentiate from a human perspective, quote unquote, when you use a word and the context in which you're using the word. So I've not had that experience to say whether it's more nuanced or not. I haven't noticed it, but that is what OpenAI is saying. And then finally, they're also saying that it's less hallucinations than the 3.5 version. So that's kind of a high level overview of the differences between the free version and the subscription-based one. And when you're in ChatGPT, you'll see where it says 3.5 version. If you click on that little caret, the little down arrow, it'll allow you to select GPT-4 and then upgrade to the 4 version if that's something you desire to do.
I have a question, Stacey, because I guess I've been using the free version, and I'm just curious of the people on the call. How I was thinking about the version that I have is like I didn't think about maybe subscribing, and I think I know quite a few people that are probably utilizing the free version. Um, which is I was thinking I had ChatGPT, but I don't. I only have the free version. And now with the new chats, with the new chat stores, it seems like I really need to kind of expand and really subscribe. And I was curious on the call, how many people are using the free version or are actually paying for it?
I'm currently using the free version on Chat on AI, but there is a version where you can pay, I think, like $40 or $50 for the year. But I noticed on the free version, as Stacey was stating, it doesn't give you more processing power. But I do notice for the one with Chats in Ask AI, that one is like $70 a year, but I noticed it gives me more processing power and it retains so many more words per chat, etc.
So, Destiny, I'm glad you brought that up. Destiny, I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things I want to make sure that everybody is aware of is all of these different chatbots that you can
Right.
subscribe to is being powered. A lot of them are being powered by ChatGPT.
Okay. Okay.
So, what business owners have realized is that, oh, I can make money by providing a service using ChatGPT, but putting my own branding on it, right? It's so they're taking the ChatGPT product and then they're calling it a different name. And that's the same thing that Microsoft did as well. Microsoft invested billions of dollars in OpenAI because they're using the ChatGPT product in their Microsoft Office suite and other products that they're using. So when you're thinking about subscribing to a large language model service, for the most part, you're probably using a service that is using ChatGPT as their engine, if that makes sense.
Okay. And I had the original Chat GPT downloaded, and I don't know why. I don't know if I just was taking things off of my cell phone, and I end up finding the other two. But yeah, I'm gonna just go back to Chat GPT.
And you don't have to. I mean, it's totally up to you. If that one's working, I just want you to be aware that
Yes.
it's not anything different that you're purchasing. It's really ChatGPT with a different um, cover on it, label on it.
Thank you for that
No,
information.
you're welcome. And something you said, Antoinette, about the free version, I think, oh, yes, this is what I wanted to address. I think you should subscribe to it for a month because obviously you can cancel at any time and see if there's a difference, right? See if you're getting more for the $20 a month versus using the free version. So you could definitely like try it out.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. So let's talk a little bit about web extensions. This is something that also, when we were planning this, we started discussing. There are a lot of plugins, if you will, and Chrome is one of the ones that have a lot of plugins that basically allows you to be a little bit more productive in your workflow when you use these plugins. And so there's a plugin for ChatGPT for Chrome. So instead of having to go into the ChatGPT application, log in, and do your work there, you could essentially use ChatGPT to search the internet, provide you with information while you're on your browser. And so that is free. Obviously, it's a 3.5 version, but that is free if you want to just have a plugin for your browser and use AI to power it. Google also has its own AI powering its Google search. I don't know if anybody's noticed this, but on my phone, Google has asked me, do I want to search with AI? Right. So that's basically what they're doing. I said no because I didn't feel like, kind of dealing with it on my phone at that point. But all of these large companies are starting to incorporate AI into the web browser function to make search a little bit more seamless. And if you're interested in, if you use Chrome, because obviously there's Safari, there's Edge, there's Firefox. I'm not sure about those web browsers, but if you use Chrome, you can go to the Chrome Web Store and you can see all of the different plugins that they have to make your web browsing a little bit more productive.
And Stacey, just to elaborate, because I was a little confused with the AI browser extensions.
Mhm.
And I know, like, for example, is that when you log, for example, when you enter ChatGPT,
Mhm.
and say if you wanted to do Google, now there's an extension where I could go into my ChatGPT, and if I add that as an extension, when I'm in ChatGPT, on the bottom, it's almost like I'm in Google at the same time.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It makes your web browsing seamless. You hit the nail on the head, Antoinette.
I just wanted to make sure everybody kind of understood that kind of thing because it can get a little bit confusing. Is everybody clear about the extensions, the browser extensions? And anybody using them now? Ladesi, share how you utilize the extensions.
Oh no, I was just giving a thumbs up, but I have heard about the browser extensions, but I haven't installed them into my browsers yet.
Okay, okay.
They have
I,
browse extensions for Zoom and for, a lot of different products. But ChatGPT is one of them. Sorry, somebody was going to say something.
yeah, I was gonna chime in here. I have a browser extension. It's specifically Go Full Page, which takes like full page screenshots of your
Mhm.
desktop, and that's one of my favorite extensions. I used to have one that was and I blanking on the name right now, but it would read out pages for you. But I didn't really like how that one was functioning, so I got rid of that one. But I haven't explored the rest of the extensions to see if there's anything that'll be helpful for me.
No, that's great. Yeah, that's exactly what it does.
There's one extension, I think it's called Sonic Chat. And what happens is it even creates emails for you. Like when you're writing emails, it will compose those emails for you right in your Microsoft email. So that's another good one. I mean, some of these extensions are so advanced in terms you can use them in your emails and you can use them in your chat boxes. They're just so advanced.
Hey, Stacey.
Mhm.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, Latoya.
How are you doing? I have a question. So and it's not listed here, but when you work in like PowerPoint, and then I even saw that like Canvas here, I'm not fully familiar with that, but in PowerPoint, they've had it for a while now, but when you're doing slides and decks, they have like designer.
Mhm.
Is that a form of AI? That's basically like
It,
their
it is
kind
a
of
form of AI in the product.
okay,
I love Designer
yeah,
because it gives you these different options in the way that the text or the graphics lay out on the page.
yes,
Yeah, I
correct.
love that. But
And
that is a form of
I'm
AI.
help oh my god, I'm helping someone I'm helping someone create a PowerPoint or just helping them fix their PowerPoint, and something was like blocked in the background, and I was like, okay, well, if we can remove that background. So I took it out the master, and then it gave all these options. Now
Mhm.
when it was locked in, the AI, you could tell it was like, no, like it was like all, like messed up. It didn't look good. And then as soon as I moved that background that was locked, it gave so many more options. And then when
Mhm.
I added more photos, it gave so many. And I was like, wait, this is AI. Like it's
Yes,
reading and adjusting. So
that's
it
exactly
was
right.
my aha moment when I was doing it. And then, yeah. So anyway.
That's a great example. That is a great example. Yes. I'm glad you use that. That's one of my favorite features of PowerPoint. So speaking of PowerPoint, so Microsoft launched Microsoft Copilot recently, which is the Microsoft suite with AI built in, right? And it also includes their web browser Bing with AI built in. And so I thought, again, because Microsoft has invested billions of dollars in OpenAI, they're leveraging that technology to help make their tools more productive. And so I have an example of with Outlook and the email Outlook. I have Copilot for work, and so this is an example when somebody sends me an email, and the email is below where it has Sakshi's name at the bottom, but it was a long thread where different people were talking about this project that we were working on. And at the top of the email, it gives me the option to click on a summary if I just want the AI to give me the high level points from the conversation. And so when I click on it, it basically just kind of said, this is this is the gist of that long email thread, right, that you have. And so I really like that because I don't have to read through, threads and threads of information to figure out, well, what are the top points? What are the highlights? What do I need to know? And so this is an example of how Microsoft has integrated AI into their tools and how it's making work more productive. So that's one example. And then I think the last tool that we're going to talk about before we get into the checklist that we created for you is, I know a lot of people use Canva. And if you haven't used Canva, they have a free version and then they have a subscription version as well. And I think the Magic Studio is in the subscription version, but they have this Magic Studio that will basically help you create the content for whatever it is that you're trying to do. And again, just like Latoya had mentioned about the Microsoft PowerPoint, the Magic Studio essentially does the same thing. When you open up the canvas and it could either start from scratch creating something for you, or you could drop your graphics in there and then it'll take it from there and give you some options. So it's the same premise, if you will, as Microsoft PowerPoint, but it really makes building different graphics easier using the artificial intelligence. And Antoinette, I don't know if I need to necessarily play the video, or we could just talk about it. What do you think?
I think we could just talk about it because Magic Studio, like a lot of, I know almost all my entrepreneurs use Canva, and I guess a lot of companies are integrating AI right into their platform. This is a great example of how these companies are integrating AI right into their platform. But I have a question for you, Stacey. Are they building on top of the AI? Are they getting the information from ChatGPT and building on top of it?
So I think it depends on the use case, right? So when you think about Canva, for instance, Canva is using Gen AI. And I don't know if they're necessarily using ChatGPT as their engine, but they are
Oh,
using a generative AI tool on that is underneath their platform to help deliver the content creation, right? So there are a few of them out there. I think DALL-E is a open AI product that's similar to the Magic Studio, where you either drop a file in or you tell it through text what it is that you want it to create, and then it goes off and creates something. So I'm not sure if the Canva one is using OpenAI, but it may be. I know that Khan Academy, for parents who use Khan Academy to help tutor their students, Khan Academy has an AI function now as well, and it is using the ChatGPT as its engine for that.
okay. Okay. So you can kind of talk through the Magic Studio. You don't have to.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to get into the AI tools checklist. I think, when we created this session, we wanted to make sure that we were creating something practical for you that you could take away and you could use and think about how you're using AI in your business. And so that is the the objective of this checklist that we created for you. So I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to show you what Antoinette is going to put on the website for you to get access to. So I think the first biggest takeaway is really kind of the legal implications, because there are legal implications that, states and the federal government are starting to put around AI. And so if you're going to use this from a business perspective to service your customers, you want to make sure that, one, you understand any laws related to the AI for the state or from a federal perspective, but two, that you also understand the information that it's serving up to your customers and you stand behind that, because I think that's where people are concerned about, the computer basically making decisions for people. And so I think those laws and policies are designed to bring accountability from a business perspective for how companies will be using AI. Understand your business needs, right? Think about, some of the
Stacey,
challenges.
can
Oh,
I
I'm
stop?
sorry.
I wanted to that asks us any legal implications. I want to kind of bring that to life. Can you kind of give us an example of like, as a business owner, how you can violate any of the laws in terms of like a business example, case example?
That's a great question, Antoinette. The most recent example that I can think of is the New York Times is currently suing OpenAI because it said that OpenAI took all of its content and trained ChatGPT on that content. And so that content is copyrighted. And so that is a case that hasn't, there isn't a decision on that case yet, but you'll see Microsoft and IBM and some of the other companies that are selling AI products. They're now telling their customers that we stand behind our product. And if, if you are, concerned of being brought up on, violating any laws or policies, like we will partner with you if in those specific cases. So there's nothing specific yet where anybody has like sued and won, but that is a big discussion. And I think the New York Times have jumped in the first boat to try to build their case that these large language models are essentially taking copyrighted material and using it for the purpose of generating revenue for these companies.
So that would impact journalists and writers and moving forward. It'd be interesting how it's going to impact them.
Yeah, that's a good, very good question.
So
I-
that could
I
impact
can-
some. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Somebody had a question.
No, I was just going to jump in with one other example. There's recently been an attorney who used cases that they
Yes.
pulled up on ChatGPT, and that attorney ended up, those cases were not false. They were not, they were more like case studies than they were actual cases. And so they used that to try to sue someone. And so they ended up getting in trouble with the legal system, with the judge and everyone else and the bar, because they tried to use that type of information. So you definitely have to vet the information that you are being given from ChatGPT. You can't just blanketly put it up there and not do the research behind it.
That's a great, great example, Angelique, because I remember reading that and I was thinking to myself, how is he using ChatGPT in the courtroom, citing cases that ChatGPT gave him without knowing that those were actual cases, right?
Exactly. He just didn't do the background that he needed to do, and just decided put the cases in, and they were like, no, these didn't even happen.
Oh my goodness! So they were not even real cases.
They weren't real cases. They were from case studies from law school, basically.
Okay.
Thank you, Antoinette, for calling that out. That's a great one.
Okay.
And so then, understanding your business needs and identifying any pain points and figuring out where you can leverage it. I think we talked about a lot of productivity tools, and I would start there, right, before I, jump into the deep end of the pool, so to speak. But start small with the productivity tools and see how it works, and get comfortable with that aspect of it as you start to think about, integrating something bigger into your business strategy. And that's what point number 3 is: start small, scale gradually, and then just continue to educate yourself. And I think that is one of the reasons why we wanted to create these sessions, is to make sure we're educating our members about the different aspects of, AI and technology, and making sure you're prepared for, just all of the change that's happening. So I'm not going to go through the entire list, but you'll be able to get access to this for yourself, and use this to really think about different ways of using AI, and then what are the things that you need to think about as you focus on your business strategy. So with that, I will share the last slide that we have for today. And then I think, Antoinette, we could open it up for questions, and just to see how we can help the members, because I think that this is something that we want to do every month, or at least every other month, and focus on things that people really want to have more insight into as they start to expand on their business strategy, right? So One, just what concerns do you have about AI that we may not have addressed today? And then if you see any tools that you want to use, or as you think about that, how we can support you on that. And then finally, what kind of topics for these sessions will be helpful for you.
Okay, so we're
So
gonna open.
oh,
Go ahead.
is
Go
it
ahead.
open?
Go ahead,
Thank
Erin. Go ahead. Go ahead,
I've
Erin.
definitely been thinking about like the implicit bias with AI because they're built on these proprietary algorithms which we don't have access to. And what are the assumptions that the algorithms are making? Like, what is considered offensive language to which group, to who, and just about how much that can impact our results. Now, I'll be honest, being a Black woman, I think I'm used to kind of having that dual consciousness, if you will, that kind of, you're seeing something, you're like, okay, is this actually meant for me and all that good stuff? But what does that mean for others who might not be used to double checking things because there may be an assumption that it is made for them?
I love that. I love that. And you are spot on. There is a lot that we don't understand about AI. And to your point, how they're building this, especially with not having a diverse team, right? That's creating the code that's powering this AI, right? And the data that they're scraping, there may be inherent bias in the data that they're using to feed the AI. And so that's why there are all of these challenges around the output. And so you have to be critical thinkers, and not just kind of take what the AI says and then repurpose it, right? And leverage it. But you need to think critically about what it's providing to you. But even more, I think that's why it's so important and why I love the work that I do, and focusing on how do we build our pipeline to have more diverse people in these different capacities around AI, building AI, and making sure those different perspectives are represented, because this is going to get bigger. Like, this is the train has left the station, and one of my concerns is not having, those diverse perspectives in those rooms, building those tools, and having oversight and transparency into how they're building it. And so I think that's one of the points in the federal government policies around artificial intelligence, is these companies have to be more transparent, basically, in how they're making the sausage, right? So we get to look under the hood to understand what the decision points are, and the information that it's using. But I agree with you completely. I just love when you said that.
I do have a question. Good presentation, Stacey, Dr. Stacey. For me, I'm dibble dabbling, so I'm kind of in and out when it comes to AI. And my question is the authenticity of it. Like, even though it is like a computer, it's technology, and it's showing, does it still offer like a human aspect? And the reason why I ask that is because for me, I'm multilingual. So I speak 3 languages. I started with English, then my parents' maternal language, Igbo, and then I learned French when I was in school. But I promise you, if someone uses a online translator, I will know. I will definitely know for
Mhm.
sure.
That is an interesting question. And I think that's awesome that you speak 3 languages. I love that. So I have used a tool that humanizes the language coming out of the chatbot. Now, I don't know, obviously you probably can do that in different languages, and only you would be able to tell if the output of that humanizer um, gives you that authentic feel that you need,
Mhm.
right? But I do know that, so for instance, if I write an article in ChatGPT spits it out. I can put that information into another application that humanizes the information coming out of ChatGPT to add more of that authenticity and those nuances in there. And so that might be something that you might want to take a look at if you think that might help you in your business. But I think you could just Google, AI humanizer, and
Okay.
you should have some options that come up.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great question.
We have another question from Leisha. I hope I'm
Yes, it's Leisha. Yeah. Hello.
Hi, Lisa.
Quick question. I was looking at someone using Midjourney and the images they were creating then went out to the public, and others could then use the, expound on those images. Does Chat GPT do something similar where when you are putting something together, it'll go into the whole that other people would then have access?
So that's a really good question, and I don't know the answer to that. I do know that ChatGPT 4 has the ability to create visuals. Now, with Midjourney, to your point, the way that Midjourney is structured, it's to your point, it's like a community, right? And so all of the content that is output in Midjourney, it puts it into a forum where people could remark on it, they could use it. Um, and so I don't know if that's just the design for Midjourney and how they wanted to create a community around their products. But I know that with any large language model, and I'm glad you brought this up, Leisha, you should not put anything in there that you don't want to go out to the public, right? Because even though Chat GPT right now, it appears closed from, it doesn't have that community model like Midjourney, it's still information that you're sharing with that company, and they could potentially reuse it, right? So I think
Yeah.
that is a great takeaway, but that might be just a Midjourney model from a community perspective, but anything you put in a chatbot, it's essentially, they take ownership of it.
Thank you.
Great question.
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback off of that. Well, first to say that normally when I do a lot of my prompts, I tend to make it very, not vague, but I don't use any company type of information or proprietary type of information. So that I won't do anything like that, give out information that doesn't need to be given out. But then the other thing I wanted to know was between Midjourney and the Magic, what was it, Magic Show and Canva, is
Mhm.
there a huge difference between those two?
Um, I don't, it's different, right? With Midjourney, you you give it the text and then it parameters, and then it goes off and it creates the example. With Canva, it's almost like you have a little bit more engagement with the Canva model, because you could start like with the Canva model, for Midjourney, it's just a picture. With Canva, if you want to create something for Instagram, if you want to create something for Facebook, like you have more control over the objective of what it is that you're creating.
Gotcha.
And so I think
Okay.
that's one of the big differences. And so it could create something from scratch based on that platform or that, objective that you have, or it could start with something that you already have and then, enhance it. So that's what I've seen the differences are between Midjourney and the Canva model.
Okay, I'll have to check out Magic Studio. Thank you so
You're
much. And
welcome.
I have to jump, but this was great. I appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Stacey, I wanted to add, because the one thing about AI, we are in fact building a model with our information. That's why when I do prompts, going back to a statement made earlier, I try not to put in any names, even the names of my organization, because we are in fact building this beast with
Mhm.
nothing but information.
Yes.
And then when we put the information in, it could spit out into somebody else's information. So
Mhm.
if I put the name of my organization in, it might spit out into somebody else's bio. So I just wanted to make, if you could kind of clarify on how to be careful what we put in there, especially if you don't want it made public, and how we're building a whole model in terms of with information, basically.
Yeah, no, that's a really great perspective, and thank you for sharing that. You're right. I think as much as you can anonymize the information that you're putting in the chatbot, the
Mhm.
better off you are, because it does take your information and now it's part of its data set, right?
Mhm.
Um, and then whatever you get out the chatbot, then you put it in, Word or whatever tool you're using, Google Docs or whatever, and then that's where you add your specific information. But yeah, definitely, Antoinette, that is a really great call out.
Because I even had we had some interns this summer from South Africa, 2 interns, and I was wondering how this organization discovered our organization.
Mm.
And I said, "Well, how did you know about We Up?" Because they called me from another country, and he said, "We got you out of ChatGPT." And I was like, Lord, I was like, wow, because they asked for a list of women's organizations, what they were doing, and they said We Up came on top of the list, and I thought that was really interesting.
And you got to remember too, though, that you have a website. So your website probably has already been scraped to add all of your
Oh,
content to ChatGPT. And that's really the essence of the New York Times lawsuit. It's like, okay, we've written all of these, articles, and people pay a subscription to get access to this information, but they've scraped the internet, so they have all of that content. So yeah, if you have a website, it most likely has your content.
hmm.
Hmm.
Are there any more questions? Because I wanted to get to, like, before we end, as we talk about technology, we really want to get deep into technology, because it's not only today was kind of, we wanted to kind of get a feel for what topics you want covered, but there's so many things that we could do with AI and with technology. And Stacey has agreed to do a series of workshops. And one of the workshops that we want to encourage women of color to really understand the power of all this technology, because when you go into YouTube and all these areas, you see a lot of white males that are doing these specific things. And so it's so important for us to understand how to leverage this powerful technology. Like, there are a lot of companies now building on top of ChatGPT to provide information. And then there's another field that's growing, we call the SaaS, the service as a software platforms, that as business owners, as we set ourselves up like subject matter experts, we can start utilizing the power, harnessing the power of all these technologies. So over the course of the year, we're really going to get deep into these topics, because there are business opportunities for us. Because if you create a business on top of, for example, a SaaS platform, you could raise millions of dollars. And it could be a simple, like, and we're going to give business examples. So, if Stacey, if you could talk about, like, as we progress, how we talk about these different topics, because one thing I do find out, from an organization point of view, when I do topics that stay marketing, etc., we get people coming out the woodwork. But when we focus on technology, it's really limited. But we really want to just encourage technology as the going thrust in businesses, and we really want to keep driving that home. So Stacey, if you could speak a little bit about that, and as we look towards the future in the year.
Yeah, so next month we're going to focus on the software as a service model. And Internet brought this to my attention. There is a lot of opportunity for you to work with companies that will provide the foundation for your SaaS model, and you use that with your customers. I think that what we're going to do in the next session is kind of walk through, what that would look like, what challenges you would have potentially if you were to consider that, but what are the opportunities? And so, to Antoinette's point, I think it's really important, especially at this juncture, that we become more integrated in understanding technology, what's on the horizon, how people are using it or companies are using it, and then how do we leverage that for our business models? Because that is really going to start to become an even bigger game changer, especially with artificial intelligence and the way that companies are starting to think about becoming more productive, offering more products and services, and then how does that impact the workforce? And I think I have this in the blog article on the site, Antoinette. I think it was Deloitte or McKinsey, but one of them published, McKinsey, they published an article about how artificial intelligence is going to impact the Black community from an economic mobility perspective. And that was really interesting to me because one, what it told me was that I think that we're not thinking about how when this technology really becomes prevalent, how that's going to change how we do business, how we live, how we work, how we play. And from a business perspective, you want to get in on the ground floor and start, building your knowledge as well as your business model so that when it becomes prevalent, you're already there. You're not behind trying to figure out, well, how do I get in, right? And so I think that's why we're having these conversations, because we want to make sure that you're thinking about these things strategically.
Hmm. Okay. So as we close out, we wanted to get any other suggestions, any other comments, and any other topics that you would like covered. But we're going to do a series of and focusing on technology because that can drive your revenue, that can drive your growth, that can maximize your productivity, your efficiency. And we ask anybody to call our subject matter experts if you want to share information, knowledge regarding the technology area. Please feel free to do so as well. You can always reach out to me at weap.org and just kind of let us know how we hit the mark. And of course, you can connect with Stacey through our organization. But we're going to have a series of these workshops. We call it what? Let's talk about. Let's talk. What did we say, Stacey?
Yeah, let's talk about it. And it is capitalized for IT.
Right. I like that. And because these conversations is so important, technology is driving like everything. So I know Stacey has a hard stop at 2. Anything before we leave, we have everybody's email. We'll send you out the checklist, the framework. We'll send that via email. And a next topic for next month, we're going to cover SaaS, service as a software as
Software as a service.
so we will include that in our monthly newsletter. We'll give you some backgrounds information to look up, and we're gonna do a deep dive into these topics. And anything else you want us to explore, discover, please let us know via email, and we'll tackle it.
Anthony, I wanted to add that we can send out a survey at the survey before the week is up, and with your questions and feedback, and let us know through the survey as well.
Okay. Well, we're gonna close the call because I know Stacey has a. I'm sorry, somebody. Hey, Latoya.
I had one thing. Yes, this is Latoya. Hey, so I just want to add up before, even you may have said this at the last event, ChatGPT is not current, or they're just catching up to be current, as far as like the information they were pulling from was like a year behind or 2 years behind, right? Is that correct?
So for the free version, they said the last time that they updated it was November 2023, but the 4.0 version, the subscription version, is current. And so I think that's how they're able to monetize the model by keeping the 4.0 current, but the 3.5 gets updated,
Like 3
periodically.
months behind.
Mhm.
So if you're trying to pull information on like current events today, you may not be able to gather that information.
Potentially, but think about using that extension and see if that makes a difference. Maybe that's a hack to not doing a subscription if you were to do the GPT plugin for your Chrome and do a search, and I'm wondering if you would get current information that way.
Okay. Thank you, Stacey.
You're welcome.
Wonderful
Bye,
speaker.
everybody. This was great.
you.
Good seeing
And
you.
Bye.
See you next
Thank
time.
you.
Bye, everybody.